Aloha, my name is Nicole Miranda and I'm Ms. Hawaii United USA 2025. I am here to share with you how I cured 20 plus years of having insomnia, pretty much my entire adult life. And I don't say that lightly. It wasn't like a passive, oh, I couldn't sleep for a night or two here and there, or I got broken sleep. I struggled badly with this for the majority of my life. Really, I noticed it in, I want to say college, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse consistently. And as I got older and as I got more stressed in a career that I was in previously, and it was really affecting my mental and physical health over the years. So I'm going to talk about what finally worked for me because I searched high and low. When I say I tried everything to cure my insomnia, I mean everything. I was on every sleeping pill, every natural supplement, every type of yin yoga, or just literally a weighted blanket. You name it, I tried it. I actually used to get upset when I'd run into friends who were trying to help, but they would just tell me things I tried like 10 years ago. And I'm like, guys, you don't understand. I'm way past that. So if you're one of those people who has a lot of trouble sleeping, who's struggled with insomnia, who has broken sleep, who has trouble falling asleep, who thinks they're stuck being a night owl, I'm here to tell you that there is hope. There is hope because I have completely cured my insomnia and I never thought I would sleep like a normal person. So the fact that I'm now doing this, going to bed easily, early, naturally, waking up without my alarm, before my alarm, is mind-boggling to me. I would stay up until 3, 4 in the morning, not being tired. I'd sleep in usually as late as possible because then I couldn't wake up. I will say I was always able to sleep in for the most part, but I'd have broken sleep. I'd wake up throughout the night. I'd have nightmares. I would just be so groggy and tired the next day, whether or not I did get enough sleep. It was really a big struggle for a long time. So I'm going to talk to you about what finally worked for me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background real quick here too. I won't keep it going too long. I don't want to bore anybody, but I'll get right to the point. So I noticed over the years as I was going into, like I said, college, like I look back on Facebook memories and I can see over the years where I was posting statuses being like, Nicole can't sleep. Oh, I can't sleep again. This sucks. Oh, I'm going to be tired at work tomorrow. And over time, it got worse and worse. So it got to the point where it was really affecting, again, my physical health. I was getting sick all the time. I knew when I didn't get enough sleep, I was going to get sick, although that was probably a belief that I had hardwired in my head that was causing me to get sick too. Now I know. But yeah, it was tough and no one really understood. I think unless you've really experienced this the way I have for 20 plus years, I don't think you can understand. It's just, nobody would get it. They're like, what do you mean? Just go to sleep, just fall asleep. You don't understand when you're stressed and you're an overthinker and you have a very analytical mind and a high pressure job and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, you will think and think, and I could be completely exhausted mentally and physically, and I still wouldn't sleep. My mind would just run. I'd stress about the next day. I'd stress about the day before. Who even knows what I was thinking about? But I literally couldn't turn my mind off. And all I wanted was a cure so desperately because I thought that was the answer to all my problems. Granted, I think there was deeper healing that needed to be done. That was the cause of the insomnia and anxiety at the time. But I thought that was the root of my issues. And come to find out, it probably wasn't. But anyway, so real quick, I wrote down a couple notes from everything I had tried in the past and what's working for me now that I do also want to share. And I want to share about the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation that cured insomnia for me forever, which is just, again, it's mind-boggling. So I really did never, ever think I would sleep like a normal person. When I finally quit my corporate job 2 years ago and I moved to Hawaii, I'm less stressed, I have peace, I'm doing what I love. My sleep got a little better where I wasn't waking up as much or having as many nightmares, but I was still having trouble falling asleep and I was still staying up like super late and waking up numerous times throughout the night. I had started probably mid-20s, early 20s, right out of college, with slowly dabbling with, kind of more natural supplements. Like I tried melatonin in college, I would say. I remember my ex at the time told me to try it, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't do anything. To date, I don't feel melatonin does anything for me personally. Didn't work, right? And then I also started sleeping with earplugs and a night mask. And I absolutely can't, I still don't sleep without those things. I still need dead silence, complete darkness. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I also grind my teeth when I sleep. I ground them down so bad that I have veneers on my top 4, by the way, because I chipped one of my front teeth in college. So I've been doing this for years. I think I had a lot of anxiety that would come out in my sleep and I didn't know it. And then I finally had to get a night guard. So yes, I look crazy when I sleep and I'm okay with that. So I started taking melatonin and it doesn't work. So then people suggest me take Z-Quil. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. Or maybe Benadryl. I maybe even tried that at first. It worked a little bit. Then I got into Z-Quil. It was working great for maybe a couple months. One of my friends recommended it to me. And then I built a tolerance to that. So I started taking Z-Quil every night. Then it became something I was dependent on. Then it became, I needed more. Next thing you know, I was drinking like half a bottle of Z-Quil and it wasn't even making me tired. So I was like, all right, what's next? Then the next thing that you can take before you go to prescription sleep pills is Unisom. I'm sure there's generic brand names, but Unisom was the one that I had heard of. And that started to work better than Z-Quil. So I started taking that. I want to say at this point, I'm like 25. I'm taking this stuff every night. Each thing I go to works for a few months and then it doesn't work anymore. So what do you do, right? You can't just not sleep. And now I have a high pressure sales career that I'm like thriving in, but also requires my energy, my attention, my focus, my rested self to come to these presentations and show up. So I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm stressed. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. Unisom, of course, stops working eventually too. So I go to my doctor and I'm like, dude, I can't sleep. I think I start maybe researching like what type of other sleeping pills are out there, because at this point I'm getting really desperate. And, like I said, I feel like it's impacting my life in a lot of negative ways. So I go to my doctor, I tell him this, he's like, we'll put you on Ambien. So for those of you that don't know, Ambien is one of like the hardest sleeping pills, if you will. It's like one of the strongest. It knocks you out. There are some studies about people like driving in their sleep and doing things they don't remember. I was not concerned about that at all because I always joked that I needed like a horse tranquilizer to put me out to sleep. So I knew that wouldn't be a problem, and it wasn't for the most part for the first few years I was taking it. So I get on Ambien. Magic. I start falling asleep. As soon as I take the pill, within minutes, I'm just knocked out. And it was like a godsend. Otherwise, not only would my mind run, but I'd spend my nights like trying desperately to find a job to get me out of this sales career that I no longer liked. I'd go on LinkedIn, I'd doom scroll, I'd be applying for jobs till 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd have meetings the next day. I couldn't turn off my mind. So Ambien worked. I knew when I took it, it would knock me out in 10, 15 minutes. I'd be out. It put me to sleep through the night. And I actually woke up not feeling groggy at all. I know a lot of other people that have taken it said it made them feel groggy. For me, it just knocked me out. I slept through the night. Sometimes over the years, I started taking it consistently every single night, which you're not really supposed to do. It's supposed to be as needed. You're not supposed to take it with alcohol. I took it when I used to drink. I took it with alcohol. I took it every night, which for me, that was as needed. And eventually, I definitely built a chemical dependence on Ambien to sleep. So fast forward a few years, I'm really happy with it because it is the only thing that works. And people kind of are like, oh, that's crazy. You take that. Like, that shit would knock me out forever, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't do much research. I was always a very like experimental person. When something worked for me, I stick with it. So that's what I did. And I still feel like no one really understood the severity of my sleep issues. Like, it got to the point where I was going to all these bachelorette parties. I couldn't share rooms with my friends. I woke up, I was like the princess in the pea, and I still am a fairly light sleeper. I always have been. But I would wake up to a pin drop. I would wake up to a sound, a movement, anything. So having a sleeping pill that actually put me to sleep was like a godsend, you know? So then that allowed me to still perform at my job, to function kind of normally, get sick less. Did it make a huge shift in my life? I don't know, but I at least felt I was getting the sleep. And if nothing else, the placebo or the psyche of me thinking I was getting enough sleep, whether it was natural or not, because I've since done a lot of research on Ambien, and it's not necessarily naturally generated sleep. So maybe for years I wasn't even getting real sleep, but what else could I do, right? There was like kind of no other option at this point. Again, I had tried weighted blankets, anxiety pill, everything. But once I was on it, it was impossible for me to get off because I had a lot of people telling me that I should try. I will add this caveat too. I started experiencing like extreme anxiety and depression and on and off periods over these years that I was on Ambien. And the first time it had ever happened to me in my life that I went through this really rough mental health period was about, I want to say 9 months after I got on Ambien. At the time, I didn't put two and two together and correlate that that's probably what was going on. But looking back, I think there was numerous things that were doing that. I think Ambien had a lot to do with it because I had no history of mental health issues. I was always very healthy and happy. And of course, I, was feeling really unfulfilled in my career and my life, but I think there were a lot of factors. Nonetheless, I'll just go ahead and share, kind of the journey with this. I was then taking Ambien every single night for 8 years. 8 years. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, if you have doctors in your life or experience, but first of all, I don't believe in Western medicine, pharmaceuticals anymore. All they did was mess me up. It's just putting a Band-Aid over the problem. I'll go on the record saying that I have no problem sharing that about my personal journey. I'm not saying it's the case for everybody, but they didn't work for me at all. They just kind of created more and more issues for me. So with the Ambien, I later found out last year when I really deep dove on how this was affecting me still, that Ambien's only supposed to be taken for 6 weeks maximum. And I was on it every single night for 8 years. Not only was I on it every night for 8 years, I was dependent on it. I absolutely would not sleep if I tried to skip a night without it. I started taking like an extra half pill in the middle of the night because now it would knock me out for like 3-4 hours. And then in the middle of the night, I'd wake up and I couldn't fall back to sleep. So I was either taking that or a Xanax, half a Xanax in the middle of the night. So it was getting to a point where it wasn't really working. And 10 milligrams is the most you can take on Ambien. I was on the max dose. So I would ask my doctor for more. They wouldn't give me more. I just had to make do with that, right? So again, I go through this on and off for years with my sleep, with my anxiety, with my depression, all this stuff. And I kind of just thought that's how life was, really. I thought I was stuck in this cycle and it was going to be that way forever until maybe when I retired in my 60s. And I didn't like that idea. I was always somebody who, if I had a problem with a career, if there was something that I wanted, a goal that I wanted to achieve, I would do something about it. I've always been a doer, an achiever, someone that challenges myself, someone that will work really hard. The challenge with sleep is the harder you work at it, the more you push for it, the more it escapes you. So it was just me fighting tooth and nail as battle. I eventually found this app. A lot of people told me to try yin yoga, that it didn't work. People told me to try light music, meditation. I dabbled with meditation, didn't love it. To be honest with you, my mind was so busy at the time that I didn't know how to meditate properly, and it just made it worse because I'm just laying there not thinking. So I would just watch TV before bed, which was the most helpful for me if I watched a lighthearted show. And sometimes I'd fall asleep to that. But if I watched anything suspenseful or scary, forget about it. So I got into meditating a little bit with this app called Mind Spa. They do like a 2-3 minute like little blurb that they said for you to imagine in the beginning. And then I had like binaural beats for like 20 minutes. And that started to help me combined with the sleeping pills. I don't think it would ever have worked without the sleeping pills at that time though. So I've tried all these things, right? But my sleep, again, is not ever getting better. If anything, I'm sleeping less because I now have a tolerance to this and I can no longer up my dose. And my stress is going up. And this is years of this being compounded. So I move out to Hawaii. I have like the worst sales job in the world. I have the worst boss in the entire world. And I'm just like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Like, got to the point where I could barely get myself out of bed because of how miserable I was at my job. I mean, I would have to take a bunch of Adderall even to wake me up. That's a whole nother story for another day. And by the way, when I initially started on Ambien, I was not taking Adderall, so that was never the problem. That became something later on. So anyways, I eventually quit my job, right? And I was still taking Ambien. I was less stressed. So again, I was sleeping more through the night, but I still really struggled with this. And it was kind of like, why? Like, life is really beautiful for me on the outside. I love my, what I'm doing, this business I'm starting. I love being in Hawaii, but like, why can I still not sleep? And I wasn't realizing that this was a problem. Our bodies are not light switches. You don't turn yourself on with a pill and turn yourself off at night like a light switch. And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to go from full speed to just knock myself out because I'd be busy, working, and socializing, and I need a lot of wind down time after being around people or doing things before bed. So, and still I need that. So it was a challenge. So anyways, this brings us to last year. After being on Ambien for 8 years, I'm finally like, okay, I have to be done with this. I was having severe mental health issues that came out of nowhere. It was the worst it ever was. I was like, what more can I change about my life? I'm so happy where I am. My life is so peaceful, joyous. I do yoga. I meditate. I look outside because I'm living my freaking dream. And it's like, what else is there? Why can I still not sleep? So now that I'm no longer working for a corporate company where I have to go to a 9 to 5, I was like, you know what? Let's forget about the sleep. Let's not care. I can be a night owl. I can sleep in. I can make my own hours. I do tours. I run my own business. I finally have the freedom to live this way. So let's just deal with it. So I, finally got off Ambien. It's a story for another day. It was very, 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 very difficult. I finally got off of it completely about a year ago. And yes, I was done taking the pill. However, I still was going to bed at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, waking up at 10, 11 the next day. While I don't need to fall into a very specific structure because of the nature of what I do now and the lifestyle I live, it's still not so normal to be that out of sync with, the rhythms of natural light and other people, right? I still want to be getting up early. I live in this paradise. I want to get up and do things in the morning. So I kind of just accepted my fate. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm a night owl. This is how it's always going to be. If this is the worst thing in my life, so be it. I live my dream. I'm a very happy person. I guess I'll just be a crappy sleeper and I'll be a night owl and I'll sleep in all the time. I'll just be this outlier. I'm never going back to corporate America, so that's fine. So fast forward to this past July when I went to the Dr. Joe Dispenza week-long advanced retreat, and I decided to put this sleep issue into my intentions to cure it. And it was in my vision board and intentions for a long time, but it wasn't going away. And Dr. Joe teaches you how to properly meditate, how to become nobody in no time, no space, no thing, connect to the quantum field, all that is source, spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call this collective consciousness. He amplifies that by having 3,000 people in a room meditating together. And then once you're in this place of coherence and kind of non-duality where you're one with everything, you can create, you can change your life, you can change your energy. I believe and I know in my heart of hearts that we can literally do anything. Absolutely anything is possible. There are infinite possibilities in the quantum field. So a lot of you guys know me for my Ms. Hawaii manifestation story. I have another video on that. But to me, what is much, much, much more profound and life-changing is the fact that I cured my lifelong insomnia in one meditation at the retreat. So by the end of the week, after you're meditating and you're learning how to do this work, he tells everybody, we're going to take that one thing, that one nagging issue you have, and we're going to do a changing boxes meditation. And a changing boxes meditation, I'll just read to you real quick, like a little summary that I wrote down about what it is. Essentially, it's when you become aware of the old box that you were in, and he asks you to think about your emotions, the state of mind, your thoughts, your habits, what your body feels like, what created this. And for me, that was my insomnia, my belief that I don't sleep like a normal person. Past memories, anything tied to that. And then you become the observer, and then you interrupt this pattern and you step into a box where you are a new person. You're no longer that person. So I am no longer that person that can't sleep. I am no longer have trouble sleeping. I'm no longer a night owl. And most of the time you don't say things as I am not. When you're doing affirmations or an intention, you say, I sleep well and I'm rested. I wake up early with ease, with energy. So this whole week, I'm surrounded by really amazing, like-minded people who believe this stuff works. And we know it does because we've seen people cure incurable diseases, terminal diseases, you know? I've manifested winning Miss Hawaii when I'm not a patch. I mean, look at me. I'm a freaking hippie. Anyway, so yeah, I truly never thought that insomnia would be something I didn't have to live with. I didn't think in this lifetime it was possible, and I was accepting my fate. And because I accepted my fate, because it's hereditary and a lot of people in my family have this, I had this belief ingrained in my head. My mom doesn't sleep well. My brother doesn't sleep. We're just a family that doesn't sleep well. And I believed that about myself so strongly that I created that reality. And once I finally stopped playing the victim and I went to this Dr. Joe retreat and I learned how to properly meditate, it changed my freaking life. 20 years of everything, including the most intense sleep pills that could no longer put me to sleep. And one meditation cured me. So the other thing that I will say is I was around people that knew the way I did the power of our words and our thoughts creating our reality. So anytime I said to my friends at the retreat, I didn't sleep well, I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. again. They were like, no, Nicole, that's not you anymore. You're a new person. And it was so all week people kept saying that to me and I kept changing my words for once. But I still didn't really believe it was going to happen until I sat in this meditation, and I don't know exactly what my thought was at the time. It was a feeling. It was just a knowingness. And this is only a 20-minute meditation, mind you. It is easy, but we are all going in there and collectively amplifying our energy and creating together. So I get in that quantum field and I was just like, this is it. I'm done with this insomnia. And I'm almost going to cry saying this because, again, I really just never thought, I never thought it was possible. And I sobbed like a baby when I stepped into the new box. I knew I was coming out of that meditation a different person. I had changed my DNA. I had changed my thought process. I had changed these memories that were stored in my mind and my body and in my energetic field. And I cried and cried and cried. And I'll even put up a video in the shorts of like what I said after. I just remember feeling it, and I knew in that moment that it was cured. And as soon as I came out, took the blindfold off, we're wrapping up the meditation, I told all my friends, we just cured my insomnia. And everyone was like, heck yeah. And I still had a little bit of apprehension of whether or not this actually was going to have worked. And sure enough, first 2 nights, I still didn't sleep well. I didn't fall asleep early. 3 nights later, I'm back home in Hawaii. And for the first time in my entire adult life, I'm falling asleep before midnight. I mean, I was falling asleep before 10 o'clock. No sleeping pills at all. Didn't even need to do a meditation. My mind just shut itself off. I was a different person, and I became somebody who can sleep like a normal person. And I was waking up at sunrise, early, energetic, getting up to meditate. It's crazy. It is so, so, so crazy how it happened. And to me, this is what I really want to share on his stories of transformation next time I go, because I didn't see anything about insomnia. And for me, that was my chronic thing that I struggled with my entire life. I never thought there was a way out of that. I really, really, really didn't. And I accepted that. And until I took these really bold actions and challenged myself, because meditation is challenging for someone who's very busy in the mind. You know, the Western world really has us running around in the monkey mind, and I did it. I had mastered, you know, the movement and the doing. It had been like coming back to myself, the being, the stillness, getting out of the mind. And I detached from that idea that I couldn't sleep. And now, for the most part, I sleep without sleeping pills every night. Once in a while, I would say maybe once a week, I stay up too late and I can't fall asleep, but I'm still waking up early on my own before my alarm. And a new practice that I'll offer to other people too, of course, like, try these Dr. Joe meditations, but I really think being at the retreat is what helped, being in that collective field. And my new thing I've been doing is a nightly gratitude practice where before I go to bed, this is my new sleeping pill. I just think about all the things and the people I'm grateful for, the things in my life, and in my head, I'm just running through, instead of thinking about the day or the next day, I'm just thinking about things I'm grateful for. And I'm saying, thank you for my girl, Leslie, who's one of my best friends. Thank you for this beautiful sunset. That's all I do. And then I even start to be grateful for things that haven't happened yet. And I visualize, thank you for my penthouse apartment. And next thing you know, I'm waking up again before my alarm. And the last things before bed are gratitude. Like, what a pleasant way to go to sleep and then, you know, to wake up. So I am so happy, so grateful. I've said this a million times. Dr. Joe Dispenza has changed my life for the better, and I will continue to preach about his work. I'm so excited to go back to his retreat in San Diego in 2 weeks. So stoked. It's going to be amazing. Who knows what I'm going to create over there and the people I'm going to meet. It's just such a blessing. And I hope this inspires some of you guys to check out his work. I am happy to share more of the research I did. There's very little out there, by the way, on Ambien. Very, very little. The drug hasn't been around for long, but there are a lot of negative side effects, everything from mental, physical. I forgot to mention this. I got to a point where I was even sending text in my sleep that I did not remember at all. And other people sleepwalk. I know for sure it was affecting my mental health. So I'm so glad that I don't need to be on pharmaceuticals anymore. And all it takes, like, just let me be the motivation, the inspiration, empower you to know that this can be done in one 20-minute meditation. I'm not saying it's going to be easy or that fast, but if you follow the process, if you believe in yourself, if you change your belief about yourself and your insomnia and your sleep problems, it's done. Anyways, if this video was helpful to you, please share it with a friend. I know there's very little out there, again, even on Ambien, as far as podcasts, YouTube. I search high and low. There are so few articles. So I want to use my story to help, others and transform their life. And I know that it's possible. If it's possible for me, I promise it's possible for you. Anyways, like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm going to start doing more interviews with other people, so let me know what else you want to hear, see on this. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I love you guys. Peace, love, and aloha.